Hello, everyone, and welcome to the University of Rhode Island Computer Science and Statistics. In today's lesson, we are going to learn how to install the Microsoft Windows Server Update. I'm sure many of you are wondering, based on what we talked about last time, we know we can update a Windows machine simply by clicking on updates and really getting the updates that are necessary for that one machine. But let's say we're in a production environment, and in that production environment, there's 100 to 200 machines. Going to each and every individual machine to update them one by one can be a tedious and time consuming job. But luckily for us, Microsoft solved that issue by having what is known as a Microsoft Server Update role. And that role allows for us to update and deploy group policies using a Windows Server Update for all of our machines without us having to physically be on that machine. So let's take a look at how to add that role in part one of the lecture. And then part two, we will talk about how to actually configure a group policy for those updates to take effect. So the first thing we need to do to set up those updates is click on Start. Um, First, we need to navigate over to our Windows server. Here I am in my server machine. I gotta log in. Okay. And I'm going to go to my dashboard and I'm going to add a role. I'm going to click next. I'm going to click next again. Next again. And the role that I'm going to add is I'm going to add a server update services. I'm going to click on it. Then it's going to show me all of the features that comes with the server update services. I'm going to click add feature. Then I'm going to click next. Okay. And it's going to show me that I can install one or more of these features with the update. By default, it comes with group policy, which is what I need to deploy the updates on servers by setting up that policy. I'm just simply going to click next. And I'm going to click next again. And then from here, I can really decide what I want to do. So WID is a database that allows us to connect to the Windows web-based service connectivity that allows us to install our system. Then you have the web-based service API remote webbing service that also allows us to synchronize with Microsoft Web Services to install our system. If we have large production environment, we can install what is known as a SQL server to manually deploy them using a SQL database. But we're not going to do that because, again, you would have to install the SQL server and configure it. So we're going to leave the first two as our default. Okay. We're going to click next. And then it's going to say store updates in the following location, a valid local path on forensiccyber.org or a remote path. So we would have to specify a path. So I'm going to create one. I'm going to name this C:// WSUS updates. Okay. So I'm basically saying Windows Server updates is what I named it. WSUS updates. You can name it something that will help you, but Windows Server updates is what works for me. I'm just going to write WSUS. Windows Server updates. Okay, so WSUS. Let me put that in capitals so I can actually see it. Okay, WSUS. All right. I'm going to click next, and then it's going to say web server, our computers, blah, blah, blah. Lets you share information through the internet. So it's basically letting you know exactly what that role is and what it's going to do. Then I'm going to click next, and then it's going to say select the roles or services to install on the web server. I don't really want to use any roles or services. I just want to allow for these updates to push through my server. I'm going to click next. Then it's going to say restart the destination after doing it. I don't want to do that. I'm just simply going to install the web service. Okay. And really, believe it or not, that is all there is to installing the web server role and service to your machine. Once that is done, however, we will need to go in and check that service to make sure it installed properly. And then we would have to create what is known as group policies or policies in general that will allow for us to deploy updates to any machine that is part of our domain or that is connected to our domain. So that is how you set up a Windows Server update for machines that are connected to your system. All right. And this usually, takes some time. So we're going to give it a few minutes to finish installing. And again, while it's downloading, if you want, you can take a look at all of the features that this here is offering for you. And you notice that I now have a new service with the web server WSUS. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll down. I'm going to close it. And now I actually have a web server service that is a part of my machine. So if I click on the WSUS, right, you're going to notice configuration required for server update services. So it's saying to me that there's some configuration that's required. I can click on the flag. I can launch the post installation task to finalize my installation. So you notice that it's configuring my post configurations for me to allow me to do the things that I need to be able to do to it. And make sure you activate your Windows if you have not done so. Uh, once you are able to access the store to get the key. In my case, I have not done so yet, just so I can show you guys that you can still perform a lot of this without having to really activate your machine. Okay. So now I'm all set. Services, simply by clicking on the Windows Server Update Services, right? From here, you will notice that I have my Windows Update Services that's available. It will show you computers with errors and computers that were updated properly. So if I click on my machine, I can take a look at updates that were pushed through. Right now, I don't have any updates. Okay. I can refresh my list to get a list of updates. All right. I would have to approve them. I obviously set up a group policy. I can see here if I have a downstream server, if I've synchronized the server, which, we haven't done yet. So we would want to make sure that we finalize the synchronization. We can take a look at reports for the update summary. We can take a look at options for what we want to do. So a lot of configuration has to happen here in order to ensure that our machine is updated properly and that everything works. So once you set up and install the Windows Update Server, you definitely want to make sure that you see and have access to this information here so you can push updates to all of your machines. Thank you for watching.